Today, we're going to jump into this timeless story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And, it's a classic tale of good versus evil, but the ending has this twist that is so unexpected, it just completely reframes how you think about mercy and salvation. So let's dive in.
I want you to just hold this question in the back of your mind as we go through this. What if the very thing that was sent to destroy you was in fact the key to your ultimate freedom? It's a really powerful idea, and believe me, it is at the absolute heart of this ancient legend.
All right, so our story, like so many conflicts really, doesn't begin with some big bang. It begins with just a whisper of fear in the heart of a very powerful king.
We're talking about the fear of King Kansa. Now, this guy has all the power in the world, a huge fortress, and yet he's completely consumed by this one prophecy, that his nephew, the young Krishna, will be his downfall. And this fear, it's the engine that drives every single dark thing that's about to happen.
Now, what's really cool is the contrast you see here. On one side, you've got Kamsa, just stewing in his dark, gloomy palace, endlessly plotting, sending out demons. And on the other side, you have young Krishna, totally carefree, living this life of pure joy and play out in the bright, sunny forests of Vrindavan. I mean, it is a clash of two completely different worlds.
So after a whole bunch of failed attempts, Kansa decides to unleash his most formidable weapon yet, a massive, powerful demon named Aghasura. His name literally means sin demon. I mean, this guy is pure malevolence, sent with one single terrible purpose.
And this brings us to the demon's plan. See, Aghasura knows that a direct, head-on attack might fail. So he goes for something way more sinister. He goes for deception.
He wasn't just going to show up and be a monster. No, his whole idea was to use the children's own innocence against them. It was a strategy born from pure, absolute hatred.
Nope, this was about way more than just brute force. The plan was to create a trap so perfect, so inviting, that his victims would walk right into it on their own, laughing as they went.
And this is it's brilliantly cunning. Aghasura uses his immense size to transform his entire body into a giant serpent. And he lays perfectly still, with his mouth open so wide that it looks exactly like some mysterious, fun cave right there in the middle of the forest. And of course, it works perfectly. Krishna's friends, these young cowherd boys, are just in the middle of their games. They see this amazing new cave, and with that pure, unthinking joy that only kids have, they decide, hey, this is the perfect place for our next adventure. And they run straight in, completely oblivious to the deadly danger.
So here's the crucial point. Krishna knows. He sees the demon for exactly what it is, but his friends, who have put all their trust in him, are already inside. And so without a single moment of hesitation, he follows them. He will not abandon them, no matter what the risk is.
Okay, so let's get to the climax of this, because this is where it all goes down. The boys are inside, Krishna has followed them, and now the trap is sprung.
The world just goes dark. Aghasura snaps his massive jaw shut. The boys and their calves are trapped inside the demon's stomach, and the air is running out fast. It's a moment of absolute, total crisis. But inside that darkness, Krishna acts. First, he starts to expand his divine form, just growing larger and larger inside the demon's belly. The pressure becomes completely unbearable for Aghasura, who starts to suffocate. And then finally, evil is literally broken from the inside out as the demon's body just bursts apart. Now this is where the story takes a turn that nobody expects. The evil is gone, yes, but what happens next? Well, that's the real lesson of this whole tale. So as the demon's body lies there destroyed, a single point of brilliant light, his soul, emerges from the wreckage. And instead of being cast into some dark abyss, this soul flies directly to Krishna and merges into his divine form. It becomes one with him. This event actually has a name, moksha. It's the ultimate goal of spiritual life. We're talking complete liberation. It's what sages and saints strive for over lifetimes and lifetimes of devotion. And here it was just granted to a being of pure evil, simply because he came into direct contact with the divine. And that right there is the jaw-dropping takeaway. It didn't matter that Aghasura was filled with hate. It didn't matter that his intentions were murderous. The very act of touching Krishna, even while trying to destroy him, was enough to purify his soul completely and grant him the highest form of liberation. It's incredible.
So what do we take away from this incredible story?
What are the lessons that are embedded so deep inside this legend that it's been told for thousands of years?
Well, first, just notice this. When Krishna brings his friends out, they just laugh and keep playing their games. They have no idea they were just moments from death. And this shows that divine protection often works silently, in the background, without causing us fear or trauma. We are so often protected from dangers we never even knew existed.
This story really just beautifully illustrates several core principles, right? A true protector never abandons those who depend on them. Innocence has its own power, its own protection. Evil, in its attempt to consume others, always ends up engineering its own destruction. And maybe most profound of all, divine mercy is so vast that it's given even to an enemy, without them ever having to ask for it.
And this brings us right back to where we started. The story presents this powerful idea of a silent, ever-present grace that protects and even liberates. So the final question it leaves us with is this. When we look closely, where might we see echoes of that unconditional protection and that surprising mercy playing out in our own lives?